Speaking of making out constantly, we move on to the summer Hikaru died.
Spoiler free, Greg.
We learn a little bit more of the other characters and how this village is, I guess, creating spirit-sensitive individuals.
Yeah, it's interesting. We get more than just like Yoshiki and Hikaru being weird. We now have a third character in the group that starts like having that sensitivity. I guess not starts, but bringing their story to the forefront. I thought it was really interesting. I really love the emotion throughout this episode. You're really starting to see like the dynamic of the friendships, and I enjoyed that quite a bit. I thought this episode was really solid and had decent thriller and horror elements. I didn't get scared, but it definitely had some moments where they get the strings involved to make you feel unnerved. The sound design in this episode is really good. As always, we've talked about it before. And the animation in this episode is like fucking so sick. It's just such a beautiful show to watch.
And I guess now that I think about it, I'm trying to figure out if Yoshiki is now just getting used to Hikaru, or like now Hikaru can do no wrong. Because in this episode, he asked some hard-hitting questions about things Hikaru may or may not have done. And then Yoshiki is just like, all right, oh, well, okay, I guess we'll just go to school tomorrow. Whee!
I, as a person that is very nonchalant in most situations that require emotional reactions, I'm very much on Yoshiki's side where I would internalize a lot of that. Like a lot of his thought process, it feels like he's not showing the emotion like a traditional anime would, and we're not going internal dialogue like traditional anime would. We have some, but for Yoshiki, it's left up to interpretation. It's like he's pushing his emotions further down because he's afraid to be alone. He's letting all these things go that are obviously terrifying red flags just for the sheer fact that he doesn't want to let his friend go. He still has the questions, he still wants the answers, but he's still so afraid of a lot of the world around him without Hikaru in it that I think he pushes everything down.
No, good way to put it. That's what I wanted to say, but you did it so eloquently.
Thanks.
Okay, you know what? No, you did it shitty. That fucking sucked, and I hated it.
All right.
But I still felt the same way.
Okay, cool.
Here we go. Episode 6 of the summer Hikaru died.
Greg, like Gen being nice for the first time in world history, I don't know how to feel.
Yeah, you should have just smashed your boobs into me, I think.
Yeah.
The proper response.
Right.
All right. We do actually get Baseball Kid's name this episode, but I'm going to be calling him Baseball Kid until that point in time of the show, so bear with me. The episode starts. The kids are in the music room, and Asako approaches Yoshiki and says that the corner of the page in his book is folded. And Yoshiki is like, yeah, I fucking know. It's my bookmark. And he takes it out.
What an idiot. That was your bookmark, you fucking dumbass. Like, where are you going to go now? Where are you going to remember the fucking page?
There's no way he's ever going to find that page ever
No,
again.
it's done.
It's gone
It's
forever.
over.
Baseball Kid is like, oh, is that the handout that Masuda gave us? That shit's weird. But Asako says she likes philosophy. And it shows the page, and it's a little comic thing about Swamp Man, a guy that gets struck by lightning and transforms into someone else. Asako is like, he doesn't transform, he ... Then Yoshiki interrupts and says he dies, and then has a flashback of Hikaru, and then he says another guy with the same appearance and the same memories spawns, and he doesn't realize he's different from the dead guy, and he just goes home.
This is a theory of teleportation. If we, as people, could teleport, deconstruct molecularly, and then reconstruct somewhere else with the exact same makeup that we are before the teleportation, would we continue to be the same person? Would you just transplant, or would you, that person would be dead, and then you would be another person? It's really hard to imagine that as an idea, and thinking about what is a soul and what is a consciousness, how would it work?
I was just about to bring it the prestige.
That movie fucking slaps.
And I was like, oh yeah, it's a really easy solution to this problem. You literally just teleport with a tank of water underneath you, and after you teleport, you just lock your clone in there until it drowns.
Yeah, you just stack up the bodies.
Yeah, you don't dispose of them. You just have tanks of your dead clones lined up under the station.
Dude, Literally, what a movie. If you have not watched it, please don't listen to this next part. Also, don't listen to 2 seconds ago when Greg spoiled the whole fucking story. That movie fucking rules. And it is super well done and terrifying. It is a terrifying experience. The theory behind the movie is really good, and the idea of whether if you made a clone of yourself, would it be you, and would there just be two yous, and would you be able to perceive through their eyes? Very interesting.
Yeah, basically the prestigious Swamp Man. And Yoshiki asks what they think about the dead guy and the reborn guy, and if they think he's the same person. And Baseball Kid says he doesn't really care, but thinks they're different. Asako says the human body replaces its cells all the time, and our cells aren't the same cells from a few years ago. Yoshiki is like, good point, good point. But the guy in the swamp is slowly drowning. And Baseball Kid, whose name is Yuta, says they have to be different people because they both existed for a split second at the same time. Asako is like, damn, you said something smart. But they both look the same on the outside, and we can only judge others based on how we see them. Then Yuta is like, I don't care. And Asako is like, confusing, isn't it? And Yoshiki thinks that in their minds, Hikaru is still alive. What do you think about that? The whole Swamp Man.
My opinion is Yoshiki's opinion. I don't think of like religion or anything, but if I were to teleport somewhere and be remolecularized, I would cease to be me. Because we don't understand the technology, we don't understand like the theory, but being anywhere other than right here where I am at any given moment is so foreign to me that it would cease to be me, in my idea.
I feel the same way. I feel like how Asako is presenting her idea, just because you think something is the same doesn't mean that it is the same. Because she's basically saying, I can only base my interpretation off of the information that I have. And if you look the same, you sound the same, you smell the same, everything's the same, then you must be the same.
Right.
But that is just, you don't have all of the information. I understand that you can only make a decision based off of the information that you have.
Perception is reality.
But I do agree with you that if you get swamp manned, the real you is drowning in a swamp and the clone is walking around. That clone is not you. That clone is another version of you, but it isn't
right.
you.
In the illustration, you would watch your clone walk away and be like, oh, wow, that was crazy, man. What happened? And then you would just die in the swamp. Your consciousness does not transfer, but creating a duplicate consciousness sounds insane because we've never seen anything like that.
But it cuts to the choir practice, and Yoshiki is thinking, what makes people themselves anyway? Memories, cells, experiences. And the teacher is like, damn, guys, your singing is good enough for me, I guess. And Monday is the big day, and today is Friday. Yoshiki continues to think, what even defines the death of a person? Then looks at Hikaru, who is singing the lyrics intently on the page. Hikaru is sleeping in class, and Asako is like, hey, good morning, sleepyhead. And she returns gym clothes she borrowed from Hikaru. And Yuta is like, why are you borrowing dudes' clothes? And Asako says the girls' clothes are too small.
She's too jacked.
Well, I mean, she is pretty tall.
She's fucking ripped.
She beat that dude in arm wrestling.
She beat the shit out of him.
Hikaru is smelling the bag, and he's like, damn, these smell nice and girly. And Asako says her mom is obsessed with scents and stuff. Yuta is like, yeah, girls always smell good. Why do guys always smell like shit? Asako asks if they want to hang out this weekend, and Yuta is like, fuck yeah, let's go to Disneyland. And Yuki walks over and is like, nah, best we can hope for is a sleepover at somebody's house. Hikaru offers his place up, and they're like, damn, you sure? And he's like, yeah, it shouldn't be a problem. And Yoshiki thinks, but then is like, you think that's a good idea? This village is boring as fuck. And you can still see the bruise on his arm, and it seems like everyone is down for a sleepover. Yoshiki and Hikaru are riding their bikes up a hill, and Hikaru is just singing the choir song, and one of the village elder dudes rolls up, Mikasa, and sees that one of their bikes is broken. Hikaru is like, yeah, I got a flat tire. And he's like, oh, you kids, throw your shit in the back of my truck, I'll give you a ride. And they ride in the truck, and Hikaru says, it's hot. And Yoshiki is like, yeah, fucking hot.
Dude, this imagery is insane in this segment where you see them riding up the hill, you see them like get into the car. Everything about it is like incredibly beautiful to watch. And then at the end of the scene where Yoshiki agrees that it's hot, you start seeing the car shake a little bit, and it shakes abnormally, like to the point of like it seems like there's an earthquake or something like that. But it's just like it's to show the intensity of the strangeness and the awkwardness of the situation between Yoshiki and Hikaru. And it's so fucking good, man. So good.
I didn't put it in my notes, but yeah, I did notice that. And I think that happens a lot in this show. And if you don't pay attention, you might miss some of these events that give insight into Yoshiki's inner struggles with what he's dealing with.
Yeah, he's definitely unnerved all the time, it feels like.
But it cuts to Hibogayama High School at night, and a moth falls to the ground. And then there's a pair of shadowy legs in the background.
Warning, this next slide is the picture that is a little bit unnerving as well. See it at your own risk. It'll be on screen for like 15, 20 seconds.
Here we go. The moth dies and the lights flicker, and it's revealed it's like a zombie thing with its head detached, but held on with some bodily sinew stuff. That's it. Now on to the next scene. It cuts to Hikaru's house, and they have some fireworks and stuff, and everyone is like, damn, Hikaru's place is fucking huge. And Yoshiki is like, it must have been troublesome for you guys to come over here. And Yuta is like, nah, it's the weekend, and my parents drove us over. Hikaru is like, hey, Yoshiki, go to my room and grab a game. So he gets up and goes and opens Hikaru's room's door, but it transitions to the past, and he sees real Hikaru sitting there, holding up a shirt from it-aesthetics.com, where real Hikaru, in the past, saved 10% off of his entire order of t-shirts from it-aesthetics by using promo code TABC10 on checkout. And we would like to thank past real Hikaru for supporting the show.
He was pretty cool. He's a pretty cool dude. And they got some cool outfits.
He sees real Hikaru sitting there holding up a game, but then it fades back to the present. Yoshiki walks into the room and comments nothing has changed, and rests his head on the closet door. And a hat falls off the wall that says, Matsushima Sawmill. He's like, where have I seen this hat before? I'm pretty sure his dad works for the same company. In episode 1, near the end, where they were showing the montage of everyone kind of doing their normal day-to-day stuff, and Yoshiki's dad had the chainsaw and he was cutting down that tree. I think he had the same hat on, but I could be wrong.
I don't remember the hat other than the reference to the dad.
I'm pretty sure they work at the same place cutting down trees.
They are very chummy. So obviously with their kids being friends and them working in a small town together and possibly working at the same sawmill, we see in the next scene their chumminess.
Hardwood. Cuts to young Yoshiki at the summer festival eating an ear of corn, and he's sitting with his dad, and they seem distant. But his dad says they hold the festival for the god who lives on the mountain, and tells him to not climb that mountain because it'll snatch him up. Hikaru and his dad roll up, and Hikaru's dad is like, oh damn, that corn looks sick. Isn't it good? And Yoshiki is like, yeah, it's alright. And then Hikaru says they should go watch the fireworks. And Hikaru's dad is like, hey, yo, Toshi, who's Yoshiki's dad. Everyone's drinking. Let's go, boys.
They crack 16 cold ones and just start slamming them. Like
they just start shotgunning them.
Yeah.
Cuts back to the present, and Yoshiki is holding the hat and thinks his dad never really talked to him about it, but then remembers he's got to grab the video game, Nashitetsu. He grabs it, but a piece of paper falls out of the shelf it was on, and he opens it, and it's a crusty piece, but it has Hikaru's handwriting, and it says something about Hichi and the Indo ritual. And then Yoshiki pockets the paper. The kids are lighting fireworks, and Yuta is doing his sparkler infinity dance, and Hikaru is like, fucking sick. And Yoshiki is like, hey, Yuta's English is actually pretty good.
He just says infinity like 3 times.
His English, I understood it.
Yeah, I did too.
Hikaru is like, fireworks are sick as fuck. And Yoshiki is looking at Hikaru, and then Asako is also looking at Hikaru and smiles. And she takes a bunch of pictures of the kids playing with fireworks. I also thought all of the pictures that Hikaru was in, he was kind of like blurred out in
Very
all
blurry.
of them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The sparklers burn out, and Yuta is like, hey, is that a shed over there? And Hikaru says it's their family temple, and its grandpa takes good care of, ... But the sparkler burns out before Hikaru finishes his sentence, and Yuta says they have a little shrine at home too, and it cuts to a scene with a piece of paper in Yoshiki's pocket. Yuta is like, what's the difference between a shrine and a temple anyway? And accidentally elbows Yuki, making her drop her firework, and then she slaps him, and he's like, man, how was I supposed to know? Here, take my firework.
She doesn't just slap him, she fucking hooks that motherfucker so hard. It looks like she was trying to take his fucking head off. And the clap, you're like, oh, damn, dude, chill, dog. You don't need to go that far. She tries to turn punch Balrog style, take his fucking head off, dude.
Yeah, held it for like 30 seconds and then let it go.
Winds up, blasts that motherfucker.
Hikaru is like, oh, my lighter is out though, so I'll go and get another one. And Asako is like, hey, I'll go with you. They walk together, and Asako is like, damn, it's hot. And Hikaru is like, yeah, let's get some ice cream too. Yoshiki is like, well, I guess I'll throw all these used sparklers out. And Yuta is like, there's a big fireworks festival at the end of the summer. And Yuki is like, yeah, I heard. You going? And he's like, oh, I was thinking about it. And then she looks all nervous, as if she wants to ask him to go. Or for him to ask her to go, who knows? Yoshiki is like, hey, I'm going to go chase after Asako and Hikaru and tell them to get ice cream. And now it's just Yuki and Yuta alone. Cuts back to Asako and Hikaru walking, and she's like, hey, is that the mountain you disappeared at? And he's like, yup, that's the one. I don't remember much. And she's like, well, everything is back to normal, but we all thought you were dead. And she said she's glad he came back, and Hikaru keeps walking without a word. She says, hey, you know, this might sound weird, but who are you, really? And Hikaru stops walking and turns around with a red glow in his eye. Cuts to a flashback of young Asako, and she can hear things, and it's shown on screen as like a thread, looking like a sound wave. And she runs to her grandma and is like, hey, did you hear that banging sound? And her grandma is like, oh, so you can hear them too? Her grandma says she can't hear them, but she can see them just a little bit. And their family can sense these things. She says their world overlaps with the world of the dead, and they're right next to them, and people's souls cross over when they die, but they eventually return to their world, and it's part of the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. Asako is sitting with her grandma, but then Yuki comes to see her with her mom, and Asako runs over, but hears more stuff, and then those sound waves turn into footsteps, and a spirit walks past her towards Yuki, and Asako gets all anxious. And there's a car heading down the street, and the spirit says it's dangerous, and Asako yells to Yuki to stop as the car speeds by. Cuts back to Grandma, telling Asako that some spirits are bad, but some are good, and you can't assume our world is good and their world is bad. But there's also some scary shit out there, so try to stay away from them. Cuts back, and Asako is like, it tried to protect her, and Yuki is safe because Asako told her to stop. Back to the present, Asako thinks that spirits from that world aren't all bad, and then she repeats to Hikaru asking who he is, and Hikaru is like, oh shit, she knows. And then he walks over to her and starts to blob all over her face. But Yoshiki walks up and is like, Hikaru, what the hell? I thought it was you and me. We were the only ones that did that. And Hikaru was like, no, don't get the wrong idea. I think she knows. And I didn't mean to.
I have a few screenshots all in a row of this sequence because it happened pretty quickly. So it's going to show you guys here in a little bit longer of a format. But when Hikaru walks up, his face is black. He enters the shadow in her face and he's like, I'm going to kill this bitch right now because she knows who I am and I have no frame of reference of life or death. It doesn't matter to him. And Yoshiki walks up, questions what is going on, and Asako is laying on the ground unconscious. And Yoshiki's eyes are twitching back and forth in fear that he just tried to kill Asako. This is the next scene, real quick. This is potentially how Hikaru consumes people, I would assume. He said that he consumes spirits, but I don't know if he can consume people as well at the same degree. But the eye in his mouth, as it opens up to be the size of his whole entire head, was pretty fucking crazy. I was like, damn, dude. Are we earthworming it?
I think in this episode, it talks about souls. And when Hikaru eats something, I think he's like eating their soul. He's not like eating them physically. And I think that's why he can eat ghosts and stuff, because I think ghosts are wayward souls at this point, putting what Asako's grandma said together with the living world, I suppose. And I think that's why Hikaru can see like Yoshiki's glowing fire heart, because his soul is so bright and beautiful and all that stuff. So I think that's what he's doing. He's eating souls. So I think you're correct in terms of that's what it looks like when he consumes a soul, whether living or dead. Yoshiki is like, you didn't mean to what? And Hikaru is like, I shouldn't do that to Asako. It would be sad if she died, right? And Yoshiki is like, what the fuck? You tried to kill her? It's a human life. Hikaru is like, is living better? Are dying and living really that different? And Hikaru says he doesn't have a life, and being dead or alive makes no difference to him. And dying isn't even scary. You just change shape a little bit. Yoshiki is like, oh, so you lied about not wanting to kill me? And Hikaru is like, no, I didn't lie. You're special. And if you die, we won't be able to eat ice cream anymore. And Yoshiki is like, oh, is that all I am to you? An ice cream eating buddy? And Asako is the same. You're contradicting yourself. And what makes me special if you don't even understand life? Yoshiki is like, did you kill Matsuda? And Hikaru is like, And it shows a scene of Hikaru going Mongolian deathworm eye in his mouth. And then Yoshiki throws up and then gives Hikaru the death stare. And then I said, it's another Bangs POV shot through Yoshiki's eyes. Asako wakes up and is like, ugh, something smells like fucking puke. But then she's like, oh shit, Hikaru, oh, you're okay. I know you've been possessed by a ghost. And she's like, well, this is fucking awkward. They sit down and talk, and she says she noticed after Hikaru came back, and his voice got weird sometimes, so she knows something had possessed him. But she's got the feeling it was protecting Yoshiki. So she tried talking to the thing inside Hikaru, and Hikaru is like, oh shit, Yoshiki, safe. You're safe, dude. She doesn't know.
I started I was like, Hikaru, you're such a fucking idiot. Like, love you, little ghost man, whatever you are, but also he's just like, ooh, dodge that fucking bullet, right? Yoshiki, that was crazy. Good thing I didn't kill her. I mean, everything's fine.
And that's what I was talking about in the beginning. In not so many words, Hikaru basically admitted he killed Matsuda. He almost fucking kills Asako. But Yoshiki is kind of just like brushing it off, I guess. No big deal.
I think he's so afraid of Hikaru that it just like anything Hikaru wants to do at this point, he's just like along for the ride.
Yeah. Asako is like, you guys probably think I'm crazy. Forget all about this. And Yoshiki is like, nah, I believe you. Then tells her that he's worried she'll faint again and tells her to go back. It's just Hikaru and Yoshiki now. And Yoshiki gets up and just shoulder checks Hikaru while walking back. Cuts to the end of the weekend and everyone is leaving. And Yuta is like, hey, is Yoshiki okay? He just left all of a sudden. And that must have been one hell of a stomachache. And Asako is like, hey, tell Yoshiki I hope he feels better. And Hikaru is like, yeah, I'll tell him. Cuts to Hikaru in his room, and he thinks about what life really means, And dying doesn't mean you disappear from this world. And your form may change, but your soul stays. And thinks that Yoshiki has a pretty good looking soul. And then he Rasengans, basically.
He also, as he's like reaching out and looking at Yoshiki's soul, putting out his right hand, tendrils start poking out of his arm. I didn't take a screenshot of it, but it looks like, I imagine to Hikaru, it looks fucking super normal, because that's, I mean, what he grabs people with is his weird red tendrils when they're inside his body. But yeah, no, not normal. Not normal what's going on with Hikaru at all.
Hikaru is like, no, I don't want Yoshiki to die. But why is that my own opinion? Or is it Hikaru's memory? Hikaru leaves for school, and he opens the door, and Yoshiki is there. And Yoshiki is like, hey, time for school. And that's how the episode ends.
Yeah, and all this happens throughout the credits. We have an extra long episode for this one. I enjoyed a lot of what this episode put forth. Just the confusion of Yoshiki is really, really good to watch. And like, Hikaru's actually like started to get comfortable with his setting, and he's like, I haven't been found out for killing that old lady. I mean, I'll probably get away with all this other shit. So it feels like that actually, I thought when he opened the door, it would be the detective for a second. And then it's Yoshiki, and then he's like, oh, safe again. Nice. And then Yoshiki's just so timid and afraid. I think that there's nothing that Hikaru's going to do until someone else dies that's going to push Yoshiki away.
Yeah, it's said throughout the series so far that Yoshiki is too nice. And they make reference to it a lot. So I think that's probably part of what's going on here. But yeah, I don't know what it would take for Yoshiki to push him away. He seemed like surprised that he harmed Asako, but then even if he did chomp Asako, would he still hang out with Hikaru?
I don't think he would. I think that would have been the...
Oh, you think that would have been like the last straw?
Yeah. I think once Hikaru crosses that barrier of killing someone else, and it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, we get the next step of the awkwardness, or the scale fear that Yoshiki has for Hikaru. Yoshiki has zero time to mourn Hikaru at all. He immediately went from, my friend died on the mountain, I saw it, to this person inhabiting my friend's body is now here, and I just don't know what to do. Let me go grab an apple, because I got to snack on something, because I'm hungry at all times.
That sounds healthy. DJ Montague's back. Did you rip that apple in half before you started eating it?
Yeah, of course. No.
Oh, that's what I do.
How would I possibly do that?
What do you mean?
Think I have the arm strength for that?
It's not about arm strength. It's about technique. It's like ripping a phone book.
Yeah, but you still require to rip the thing.
No, anyone can do it.
Could newborn babies do it?
You're not a baby, so you could rip an apple in half.
Okay, hold on. Let me get another apple.
What you're going to do is when you have the apple like this, you're going to basically spread it out like that. So you're not trying to rip it. You're going to take it and then you're going to spread it out like that. And that's how you rip it.
No, you're making sense. I don't know if my hands are wet. I'm just sliding off, dude. I'm afraid to do this like over my computer.
No, you're fine.
Okay. As I just send the apple through my tempered glass.
Okay, so don't hold the back of the apple towards you. Hold it up. Like that. Okay. And then basically you're going to... It doesn't look like you're trying.
Fuck you guys. What the fuck? It doesn't look like you're trying, you weak piece of shit little bitch.
You're just like, oh, I can't do it.